The following Sunday school lesson was published in the Unionville, Michigan Crescent of August 20th, 1926, and it concerns the Ten Commandments and duties to God. There will be a brief hesitation as we get to part of this, as the newspaper is so brittle, excuse me, that part of it has flaked away, but it won't disrupt things too much. The Ten Commandments furnish us with the greatest moral code that the world has ever seen. The preface to the Decalogue, verses 1 through 2 of Exodus 10, 1 through 11. The Ten Commandments are based upon the truth set forth in the preface. Two great thoughts underlie this: what the Lord is and what he did. What he is embodied in the name Jehovah Elohim. The name Jehovah sets forth three great rules. 1, his all-sufficiency, all that he is and does centers in himself. 2, his sovereignty. There is no beginning equal to him, nor above him. He is outside of and above every being in the universe. He is eminent and transcendent. 3, his unchangeableness. The I am that I am, Exodus 3:14, may be expanded into I am what I was. I will be what I am. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, Hebrews 13:8. The name Elohim signifies the strong and mighty one. What life did is asserted to be their deliverance from Egyptian bondage. The first commandment, verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me, means quite literally, thou shalt have no other gods before my face. This commandment requires single-hearted worship and service. Every man has his God. It is either the true God or the false God. Life itself, with all the activity, is worship. The center around which our activities revolve is our God. This commandment may be broken. 1, by living for oneself. If one's activities gather around himself, he worships himself and is therefore an idolater. And 2, by making pleasure of the goal of lives and spending our time for sensual enjoyment. I can't read 3 because it's broken away. The first commandment is directed against false gods. The second is directed against the worship of the true God with false forms. This commandment may be broken down as follows. 1, by resorting to the use of crosses and images in our worship. 2, by putting into the place of Christ, the Pope, and following after priestcraft. It should be observed that this commandment is accompanied with a warning and a promise. The warning is that iniquity will be visited upon the children even to the 3rd and 4th generations. The promise is that he will show mercy to thousands. This means that the workings of the same divine law will pass on God's mercy to thousands of generations. The third commandment, which is in verse 7, the Hebrew word translated vain in this prohibition against taking the name of God in vain means lying, deceptive, unreal. Therefore, to take the name of God in vain means to use it in a lying, deceptive, and unreal way. The word guiltless is from a Hebrew word, the root meaning of which is to be clean, to go unpunished. The meaning, therefore, is that God will not hold such a man to be clean and will not allow him to go unpunished who takes the divine name in a lying and hypocritical way. The third commandment may be broken down thusly. 1, by profanity. 2, by perjury. 3, by levity and frivolity. 4, by hypocrisy, which is professing to live for God when living for oneself. The fourth commandment in verses 8 through 11. The essential principle embodied in this commandment is work and rest. It enjoins work on 6 days and forbids work on the 7th. The command to work 6 days is just as binding as to rest on the 7th. Only those who have worked can really rest. This commandment may be broken down as follows. 1. By living in idleness. 2. By working on the day set apart for the worship of God. 3. By making it a day of feasting. And 4. By devoting it to pleasure and to gains. And there were a couple short little items here attached to the Bible study. One called Trusting in God. An individual heart which worships God alone and trusts Him as it should is raised above all anxiety for earthly wants. Next, every sin is a mistake. Every sin is a mistake as well as a wrong. And the epigraph for the sinner is, "Thou fool." And finally, men of secret prayer. The men whom God uses most are men of secret prayer.